I would also like to touch base on what you're doing now, and if you've done anything in the theater recently.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of years since I've actually been on the stage in the theater. It was in the 90s that I did Grease, the musical Grease. I played Vince Fontaine, who was the disc jockey. I toured with that for about 3 months, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland. And during the course of that particular engagement, there was two notables that came into the show. I believe it played to Rizzo. I think Brooke Shields was one, and Rosie O'Donnell was another. It was a show that was it was interesting for me. I wasn't really thrilled by my role. It was pretty simple and pretty really celebrity based. Really, they put certain people into that role to enhance the sales. I've actually talking theatre, which is the most important thing I would imagine of all, is that we just really recently finished writing a musical that's based in England in the 30s, just prior to the war, Second World War, and it's called The Call, Thecall, The Call, and it's really about a town in England and all the people that live in it, and the people that are enlisted, and the people that went, and some of the people that obviously didn't come back. So that's pretty exciting. The music's absolutely refreshing compared with what I've heard so far from Broadway and from other productions. It's a traditional musical, so that's about my association with that. As far as the Monkees, we Nicky, Peter, and I toured earlier this year. We did 46 concerts. We traveled to England, played the Royal Albert Hall, and we traveled to Los Angeles, played the Greek Theatre, all to full houses. So that was pretty decent. The Monkees show back in the 60s went to 36 countries around the world, and we sold millions of records. So the popularity is still there, and that is basically how I am able to continue working from the association. I do a very varied show, obviously singing the hits of the Monkees, and also some theatre, some swing music, and even a little country music occasionally. We have a great band, a six-piece band, and with the advent of all the different casinos around the country, Indian casinos, and also, offshore casinos. Bettendorf, Iowa, I believe, is it? I don't know whether that's the floating. I wouldn't imagine so, but it's given artists from the 60s and 70s opportunities that they didn't have for a while, because all the legitimate theaters, the playhouses and the different places around the country were tending to, close their doors. Now we've gotten this new resurgence of interest in reinstating a lot of these theaters and refurbishing them. And so, I play everywhere from Disney World to Las Vegas to, to Bettendorf, Iowa. It's really it's not a thing that I do 7 days a week. It's usually, at this point, it's a weekend gig, because I have a life as well of other things that I'm interested in and I'm involved in.
Yeah, you know what, that play you mentioned too, the core, the one from the 1930s, that actually sounds pretty good, because besides doing interviews like this, I'm huge into history. I've got like a stack of the books that are centered on Civil War, and then centered on the Second War, the World War II in Germany and everything, and it really sounds interesting. It sounds like it would be a good theater to listen to see.
Yeah, well, it's about a town in England, and it's got different characters. You know, it's got the three girls that are ladies of the night, and it's got the Salvation Army, and it's got the normal life of the village, and then all of a sudden it turns into an enlistment, and I think really the songs are the key. The songs, the story, as I say, it's about all these different villages, the different people, and it's semi-narrated by the leading character, who finds a young girl back in the 20s and 30s in the streets of London, as you now know, in the streets of Buenos Aires and Brazil and all around the world. There are homeless children who live on the streets. Well, the same was in England at the time. It was a very difficult time. It was only 30 years before that 7- and 8-year-olds were down in the mines, digging coal. So it's a very interesting story, the fact that we are also going to be using news footage, film, and all kinds of, sort of memories. There was one occasion you might be interested in, is that, we in England are great fans of the game of soccer.
Yeah.
Well, on Christmas Day in the 40s, before the war was over, the German soldiers put down their rifles and the English soldiers put down their rifles, and they had a football match, a soccer game. And they played each other, and then after the game, they went back to their, bunkers and their safe places, and the war continued. But it seems quite interesting to imagine that that would be something that would happen or was allowed to happen, because basically, we're all pretty much the same, and we are controlled by the politics of the nation, and therefore we have to abide by that. It's when I hear people talk about the president and things that he hasn't done and things that should be done. It's the same thing as I hear when someone says to me about music, and I say, well, what was the last record that you bought? Oh, I haven't bought a record in years. And I say, well, that's why the songs are popular now, are being played on the radio, is because people are buying those. You're not in that market anymore. Yet, once again, I do see here at the Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida, where we're very close to, Paul Anka is going to be playing on New Year's Eve. I myself am going out to San Diego. I'm playing at the convention center in San Diego on New Year's Eve. So, there's an audience for everything.